Hello, YouTube. How's it hanging? Just being fun. Okay. So this is my third YouTube channel, and I want to dedicate this one to relationship advice, or just relationships in general. And I wanted to do this for a long time because I have been there, dude. And I've learned a lot of things, and I would just love to help out people who are in very unfortunate situations. People that really desperately need to, need somebody to understand, help them out. I want to be that person that would just make my day. So, yeah. Alright, this video is I'm not gonna really explain parts of relationships, like, the videos that I'm gonna do, they're gonna be like, what to do or what not to do in relationships, or what you should do if this guy's doing this, and that's kind of what I'm basically gonna do. And then I'm gonna have, like, Q&A, every once in a while. But this one's just gonna explain my background, my past relationships, or a couple of things that I have learned, and I'm gonna further explain why I would like to help. Alright, so, I'm just like every average girl. I'm 24 years old. I've had more boyfriends than I can count on both hands and feet, I swear. Okay, a good portion of those guys, I gotta admit, they were just dates. But I still include them because, they're a part of my life. So, come on. Okay. I've only had very few serious relationships, but they have lasted a long time. I was in a relationship with a guy named Nathan for a year and a half. I was in a relationship with a guy named Matt for 3 years. That's a long time. And I was in a relationship with a guy named Scott for about a year and a half, yeah. And all these relationships were different. They had different difficulties. And I've learned so much through these relationships. It's just crazy. And it's made me a stronger person today. So, let's see, where should I start off? I'm not even gonna talk about the menial relationships I had, the dates and stuff like that, because that's just whatever. It's not relevant. I'll talk about my longer lasting relationships, especially my one with Nathan, because that's one that I think that many of you can relate to and would really appreciate advice. Okay, so I'm going to start with him. I was in a relationship with a guy named Nathan. He lived in Arkansas. I lived in Minnesota. I ended up meeting him, and we fell for each other, and he came up here, and everything was just blissful and amazing, and we were so into each other. It was crazy. All that was great. Okay, I moved down to Arkansas it was just supposed to be, a temporary visit for a couple of weeks. And it ended up stretching out for a couple of months to year. Okay, I went there and I was thinking to myself that it was going to be a lot better than Minnesota. Like, I thought it was going to be amazing. I knew there was great scenery out there. But I got there and it was just like, what? I got there and I remember getting into, I remember getting to Fayetteville and it was pouring rain. And I was waiting and waiting and I waited for like 3 hours and I ended up falling asleep at the bus station. And then Nathan comes in a Camaro with his mother. and then all of a sudden the sun came out, but it was just like podunky, you know? It's really fucking weird. So anyways, I went with him to, we were going to, Harrison, Arkansas. And we were gonna go stay with his mother just for a couple of days. And that also, in and of itself, ended up stretching out far longer than that. And as soon as I got there, it was just like, what? It was a mobile home with about 30 dogs, and these were like Rottweilers. Just, okay, 30 dogs. It's like in the middle of Nowhereville, just like in the middle of a forest. It's like straight up something you would see out of a horror flick. You know, you go in the woods, you find an abandoned home, and like it was just like that, I swear. So we get into Arkansas, or I mean, we get into the house, and then I met Nathan's sisters and brothers, and I met his mother's boyfriend, who was just biggest piece of shit ever. First thing that guy did was like feel up Nathan's mom's daughter, or Nathan's sister. It's less confusing. This is the first thing that I saw when I walked into that house, and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? This is just like totally feel like I'm in a nightmare. And, you know, he got the what for that. And I stayed there because I was there for Nathan, and I thought that we were just gonna stay at his mom's for a couple of days, so I thought that horror was gonna end, and it didn't. So, ended up staying there for a while, and that guy that I told you, his name was Chess, by the way, his mom's boyfriend. And he would literally, every single morning, I don't know why, but he would shoot his rifle up in the air outside of the house because she locked him out. Because he's crazy, you know, and they literally got back together, dumped each other, got back together again, and they did this on a daily basis. It was just like you could predict the time almost. And so he would shoot his rifle up in the air, absolutely drunk out of his mind. And Nathan would be pissed off, and he'd just walk out there in his boxer shorts like, what the fuck are you doing? God. It was terrifying. And Nathan's mother, she did meth. Oh, actually, she did a lot more than just meth. And that woman's kind of scared me sometimes, but well, she was like a rebellious teenager in a 37-year-old body, you know? She really was. She loved chess to the point where she would completely neglect and forget about her kids just for the guy. That's how messed up it was. The reason why me and Nathan stayed there so long was because No one was there to watch over the boys. Nathan's younger brothers and his sister. And they were like 4, 6, and 12 years old, or something like that. And we had to practically babysit them every day. It sucked, but you have to do what you gotta do. You can't just let the kids pay for it. It's just awful. And Jaleesa, that's Nathan's mom's name, sorry. Jaleesa would leave for weeks at a time, and it was I was getting so angry. I couldn't believe she would do that to her kids. It was just unbelievable. She would leave it weeks at a time just to go bumfuck nowhere with Chess. I don't know. And she'd come back and stay for about a day or two and then leave again for another couple of weeks. And it was just... And eventually, she lost complete custody of her children. Go figure. To her ex-boyfriend, the kid's father. It was just a mess. Absolute mess. And not to mention, we had to watch these dogs. 30 dogs. Could you imagine that? Okay, so anyway. Now let me get into the part about the relationship. I mean, I gave you the setting and everything, and, you know, what was going on, but I actually want to dive into me and Nathan's relationship so you guys see where I'm going. I see that 12 minutes have elapsed, and I think 15 is my limit on YouTube, so I'm going to go to part 2. Just click on that. Alright, see you then.